What's up, everybody? 40 the Broadway saying here. It's been a minute since I've been doing a YouTube video for Ever Crisis. Don't worry, y'all. I am still playing the game. And for this video, we're going to be talking about the state of the game currently, as it's been out for a little over, I want to say 2-3 months now. And joining me today is a longtime friend of mine, who has been a part of my community since Dissidia Opera Omnia, since the very beginning, and he's been one of my longtime moderators too. His name is Borf, also known as All Hail Blobs. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about, your background and, the games that we've played together and what we're here to do.
Hey guys, I'm Borf. I've been with 40 playing Dissidia Opera Omnia with him and been following the game. And been playing Ever Crisis since it came out, and I've been spending quite a lot of time and resources and IRL and stuff on this game, so I feel like I have a good standing on the game, understanding of it, and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, we both have been looking forward to this game. I played during the beta. I think you did too, right? And
yes, I did.
We have a pretty good understanding of it even before it came out, and I've kind of seen it, grow so far, but there have been some things that we feel like we need to address that's important, especially because, we want the game to succeed, and at the same time, we also want, to get our points across so that hopefully if Applebot or Square Enix, here's the feedback, they can take all of this into consideration. But again, we're not like quitting the game or anything like that. This is not a doom and gloom type of a video. It's an objective video of just talking about the pros of the game and the cons of the game that we've seen so far and what we could definitely see improved. And if you guys are seeing co-op Ramu, we're both running co-op Ramu right now as we talk about this, so it gives us something to do. But without further ado, let's just go ahead and talk about the pros of the game. Why don't you go ahead and get us started, Borf, and then I'll chime in.
Sure. So, game has been out for roughly about 2-ish months, and some of the good things about the game is that the game is constantly being updated. Like every 1 or 2 weeks, there's a new event, or they tease a new event. There's always something to do in the game. And beyond that, they give out lots of free gems for milestones, whether it's 1 million, 2 million, the 7th day of the month for just celebrating Ever Crisis, or just Final Fantasy VII. They'll throw in, they give out lots of gems from the event itself. And generally, there's always something to do in the game and aim for. Beyond that, there's
Yeah, no, keep going. No, I just saying I agree with that. There definitely is always something to do, and I do like the constant updates. Some people may find that it's too fast, but at least they keep giving us something every week. So I'm definitely on point with that. What else? I mean, what else is going? What else do you think is so far going good with this game?
Yeah, most of nearly all the events give out a lot of what you want, gems, all the mats you need. Event weapons that have been since we were able to grind up to OB30, so that's plus 20 on all the silver stars or the white stars, so you can get them maxed out however strong you want, and they give you plenty of resources for that as of now. And beyond that, each event banner weapon that you can pull for is individually strong and impactful for the character and build that they affect the character for, like the Summer Umbrella for Aerith, the Water Imperial weapon for Zack, even the starting weapon for the Murasame for Cloud. All of these paired up with the costumes feel extremely impactful for the character and unique. And all these go into for the high-end fights, which they don't give you anything extra or impactful for the overall game. They just give you icons, banners, something just glamour to show off that, hey, you're doing all the top content of the game, and they just give you a little bit of gems, and that's it. And the high-end fights there's like little RNG into it. Where you doing those fights is like a straight like from A, B, C all the way down. So boss will do one thing, and you know exactly when they're going to do it, and how to prepare for it. But there's good things and bad things about that. But the main thing is that the fights are predictable, and they want you to keep on like switching in and out of like stances and controlling each individual character for the high-end fights, which is good. Because you don't want to feel like all the characters are just like they're being idle and being controlled, which sometimes you feel for the low-end fights you can't do that. But the higher-end fights you feel like you have to tactically maneuver between each individual character and control them, and control each build, which is good.
It is good. I agree. One of my biggest fears about this game when I was playing the beta is I was constantly autoing things, and I was like, is this gonna be the game? Like, is the AI gonna be way too smart for it to only have to use auto even for like the high-end fights? But at release, when we started to see the hard content, we started to see, okay, it looks like, you know, the AI kind of like peaks at a certain point to where no, you cannot take it to the hardest fights later on, unless of course you super whale and you have an insane amount of power, to which then yes you can. But if you're like just an average player that spends here or there, or even free to play, I do appreciate how the game wants you to actually play manually, especially for like the dungeon, you know, the dungeon events where, you know, you rank and things like that. I do appreciate that you have to put in a little bit of effort, which is one of the things that I actually really enjoyed about the City of Opera Omnia, which is a game that I tend to compare this game to a lot, is that when you get to the hardest fights in the game, you have to play manually. You cannot just auto your way through that, because there are mechanics that you have to understand. There are things that happen that you have to time so that you're able to beat the fight, but you can't just auto your way through it. So I do appreciate that the hard content that you have to work harder for, you have to play manually. Definitely agree with you again with the constant updates. The devs have been very good with communication, in my opinion, and they've been really good about addressing bugs and things like that. I think the game has too many bugs. I don't know what it is. I don't know if maybe it's a server thing, or if it's something that they could work on improving overall later down the line. But the constant bugs, even though they do communicate really well and they compensate us, sometimes it's a bit too much. And I'm like, I've never seen a game that's been so buggy. Like, even after like a small patch, there's always some kind of like bug going on to where we're like, oh, you know, looks like we're gonna get compensated for that. And again, good job on them for the compensation, the communication. But I would like to see some kind of a solution for these constant bugs, because it is a little bit, it's a little bit much, in my opinion.
It hinders a lot of the gameplay.
It does. Like, and I think the recent one was the one with Tifa's weapon for the Final Fantasy IX collaboration. Like, it wasn't working. Even I was observing. I'm like, the AI was not using it, and I'm like, I'm not sure if maybe it was because of my weapon setup or my materia setup. So I tried different combinations, but yeah, people were right. Not like the AI Tifa was not really using that featured weapons attack. So I'm like, well, what's the point of having it? You know? So things like that. I mean, constant bugs. I think they need, I feel like they need to maybe invest in like a better server. I don't know. I don't know what the logistics are of that is, but it's good that they communicate. It's good that they compensate, but happening over and over and over, it's not a good look, you know, especially when you have you're using a name of Final Fantasy VII for your game, you know, where people generally will be very excited for a game that has the name Final Fantasy VII in it. So
especially when it's like the biggest bugs are happening on the banners, where people are very hesitant to use their resources on the banners because they don't know if it's the banners are actually working as intended, or their rates are as like they are shown. Because as of lately, some of the past couple banners before the FF9 banners were some of the buggiest banners and some of the worst banners because of how buggy they were.
Yep. And it sets a precedence, especially, I think it was the Matt and Aerith banner. Or was it that
one?
Yeah, where people were getting, I mean, fantastic customer service for Applebot for giving your players back 100,000 plus gems. You know,
A very dangerous precedent.
but it sets a very dangerous precedence because then your customer base is going to expect that all the time now. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so I definitely think I don't like I said I don't know what kind of logistics they have to work out. Maybe it's a server thing where they're constantly buggy. I don't know, but if they can work on somehow alleviating that or improving that, I think it'll have a better
Having
look
a
for the
better
game.
QA team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. Because, like you said, the game is getting constantly updated, which is great. There's always new content to do, but maybe at the
Mhm.
same time, they're going a bit too fast to where maybe there is a QA team that can't keep up, you know, and fine tuning these updates so that when when it is released publicly, it's working as intended. Whereas maybe it's a little too rushed to where something is going off with it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So something like that, I feel like they could definitely improve on. But a lot of the key points you pointed out with the pros are definitely things that I agree with. You know, co-op, you can re-clear it with the same co-op team, which is great. The wish list is fantastic because it allows you
Mhm.
to finish weapons that you are targeting. I have done that. I have utilized the wish list, which I wish that you know, no pun intended, but I wish that other gachas could utilize a wish list system. I think it's very, very helpful so that, you know, if you are, let's say you missed out on maxing out or like getting a certain level of a weapon on a previous banner and then it transfers over to the next banner, you can have a wish list and then be able to continue to work on that weapon. So I think it is definitely a great system to have. And I do appreciate how events where you rank the rewards for the top are primarily just bragging rights, and they're not like
Yeah.
they're not rewards where it creates such a large gap in power that somebody has something that others didn't get. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like eventually,
even just like gems or
Exactly.
an astronomical amount of tickets where they give you extra ways to pull on the gotcha, which
Yeah.
is what some games do.
exactly. Some games, like, you know, your top players will get rewards that are just so huge in like value to where like there is a disparity, you know, in the community, you know, between those players and everybody else. But this game, I feel like they're very fair when it comes to those ranking rewards. Anything else that we feel like is great about the game?
Mm, not really, but there's quite a long list of like cons for the game that we can get into.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's start with the big one. The game is super, super grindy.
Oh my god. Yeah.
I mean, as you see from our gameplay, we're constantly just pressing repeat, re-clear on ×3 stamina. And you go through stamina super quick in this game.
Yeah.
Even like your max level, even with like me and 40's like player level, like 70 plus, you barely have enough stamina to even do it. I think if they're going to go with that route, then the stamina on per like clear should either be reduced, or there should be more. The reward should be upped for how much stamina you have to use.
I agree. I totally
Mhm.
agree. And also with the game being so grindy, it makes you think, what exactly is my end goal in this game? And one of the biggest end goals that I see is that power number, like constantly improving that power number. So it is very, very grindy, especially with the gameplay of the game. I think something that they could do for a game that's this grindy is perhaps on stages that you farm, maybe not the co-op stages, but for example, like farming up your levels, your character levels. They recently just released a new stage, about time, so you could get, you know, to level 60. Why not have skip tickets? You know,
Yeah.
like, I know that the game is still only 2 months. It's still kind of new, but like companies have to research into like other games to see what's successful and what works for them. And I personally feel that having skip tickets should already be something that's set in stone for games that are grinding like this, because having to click on the stage and having to like have it play out, you know, every single time, it's just mind numbing. And I mean, some people like that, kudos to you, but if you want us to grind that much, like, give us a way to speed it up so that it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like our time is being disrespected. You know what I mean? You know, like there's games where I feel like they really respect your time, and then there's games where I feel like they don't. And this game leans more towards it doesn't really respect your time. Like it's like they want you to constantly be on, constantly pressing that stage over and over and over to get what you need. You know, I think there's got to be some kind of a skip ticket system that they need to implement if they want to continue to keep this game as grindy as it is, for sure.
Yeah. Beyond that, the game doesn't really want you to have pretty much everything at right now. It's like, what I mean by that is like they want you to have high-end physical weapons, high-end magic weapons, high-end healing weapons, high-end debuff weapons, and that is hurting a lot of the game right now, mainly because some of the fights are as very linear, but the linear point is they hit you extremely hard at the very beginning and pretty much give you the feeling like, well, I either have to spend more on this game or I get locked out of this fight immediately, and they just like kind of slaps you in the face and kicks you in the nuts and tells you to just screw off. Some of the fights I've done this was like the Iron Giant Crash Battle. That fight just immediately said, hey, do you have Tifa leather gloves? No? Do you have an OB6? Nope. Okay, then GTFO.
Yeah, you
can't beat the fight.
It's almost impossible. I think the most recent fight for me that I jumped into, you know, and I thought that I was pretty prepared for it, was the recent EX1 of the Final Fantasy 9, the recent one, the Final Fantasy 9 event. Like literally the fight started, right? And I was playing on manual because I'm like, you know what? I heard that this was difficult. Let's just see what it does. Like I had magic attack down on 2 of the enemy targets, and then they did their triple attack, and I got one-shotted. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, what was I supposed to do there? So luckily, you know, I had the weapons that allows you to, like, you know, buff, you know, magic defense and all that. But like for a player that didn't invest in that wasn't prepared for that, and you know, let's say they spend here or there and they want to at least be able to clear something that you normally should be able to clear. That's just an EX1. That's not even like an EX2 or whatnot. You know,
EX3.
Yeah, like I definitely feel like, you know, they are really pushing, you know, the high-end physical attack down, magic attack down, high-end magic, you know, defense up, physical defense up. I really do feel like they push that. I totally agree with that. And, you know, it's not a good look for a majority of players. It's like, as a free-to-play player, you try to think, you know, if it looks that way, it's like, okay, so as a free-to-play player, how far am I exactly supposed to go? Because obviously you want to be able to clear everything. And I mean, you know, when it comes to this game, when it comes to games like this, you don't have to clear everything, but the thing is, you want to be able to clear everything, because
it just feels a bad feeling when you can't complete it.
Exactly. And then touching up on, you know, pulling on, getting your weapons to high end and stuff like that. You know, I praised this game's banner rates in the beginning. I was like, you know, 7.5% for a 5-star is pretty darn good if you compare it to other gacha. But then when you start getting pulls where you get all 3 stars, or not even a single 5-star, or not even a single 4-star, even, like, it's really bad. Like, and then also the amount of parts that you get. Yeah, it doesn't. And the amount of parts that you get for like a 4-star and a 3-star, why is it at 1 part and 10 parts? Like, who realistically in their right mind is going to pull 20 copies of a 4-star? Because you need 20 copies, because you get 10 pieces. Right? I think if they want to keep the rates the way they are, and they want to put more value on pulling a 3-star and 4-star, they should increase the amount of parts that you get for a 3-star and a 4-star. Well, like, for example, for a 3-star, maybe instead of 1 part, make it 5 parts, and then for a 4-star, you know, I'm being a little generous 20. Here. Yeah, because at least it's like, okay, I didn't get a 5-star, but at least I have all these parts, and I can work my way towards getting what I need. And it feels a little bit better rather than, oh, I got 10 3-stars. Yay! What is that? One part for whatever weapon that I pulled. You know, like who in their right mind is gonna pull 200 copies of a weapon's 3-star? It's just it doesn't feel good. Like I think they need to consider upping the amount of parts that you get for the lower rarity weapons, because when you don't get a 5-star with that 7.5%, it doesn't feel good. Yeah, it really doesn't.
Yeah. So right now we have like daily free pulls, and that's the best way to like kind of feel the system out. And you'll see how often you go how many days you go without seeing a 5-star on those daily banners. And you will see mostly just all blues and purples, or just straight blues. And you're just constantly seeing Zach just catching the Iron Giant's sword on his forehead. It just feels not that good.
It's not. It really isn't.
Yeah.
And then the paid banners, you know, aside from the Sephiroth one, I think that's the one. That's the one.
That's the only good one.
Everything else is pretty garbage. I mean,
yep, all of them have been pretty like garbage. You look at the individual rates nowadays, and you look at details, and you see that they were featuring all previous event weapons, and then you look deeper into it, and they notice that every weapon for these characters are in the pool.
It's
like,
misleading.
No, hell no.
It's misleading because they'll show you, oh look, this banner has all of the weapons from like the beach event, the Halloween event, and that's what they slap on the banner. But for a player that won't actually look at the details to see what they're getting into, it's very, very misleading. And the banner,
very predatory.
It is. It's very, very predatory. Speaking of predatory, I don't like what they did splitting the Aerith FF9 weapon and the Sephiroth FF9 weapon. Because it gave the banners far less value, because if they had put them together, that banner would have been a lot more valuable, because at least you know while you're trying to let's say I'm gunning more for Aerith, I could potentially pull the Sephiroth weapon on the way to getting that Aerith weapon, kind of like how they have been doing it with like the previous banners. So when they did singular banners for these next two, I was like, this is very predatory, because they know Aerith is a popular character. They know that garnet outfit is very enticing. It's like they knew what they were doing, and I, for one, was not a fan of that. And I was just like, wow, this was not a good move. This was not a good look, splitting up these banners. Like, they should have just put them together, and then for part 3, either maybe not have a banner or do something else, because this event is supposed to run for almost a month. And for them to split it like that, I think that was a very cheap move, in my opinion. It was a very low effort, cheap, and a little sleazy, in my opinion, from sucking people's money dry for those that spend on this game, you know what I mean? I think that was a very sleazy move on their end to do that.
One big thing to note is that even though that there is one weapon for this the banner, you might be thinking, oh, that means I get double the chances of seeing the weapon, right? No, you do not. Chances are still the same. For 2, you get double the 3 and 4-star chance for the featured weapon, but the same normal 1% chance to see the featured 5-star weapon.
Yep.
So you are not getting extra. You are getting just as BS of a pull rate as you think you are getting.
Yep. So,
but thankfully, beyond the costume, thankfully Aerith's weapon is not as impactful as of now. But as of now, the big impactful weapon that people are kind of like hesitant on is seeing the creature weapon, as we see some early images of it, and right now we do not know the actual rate of how potent the weapon is, because if it's mid to high, which I don't think it's going to be, because AoE physical and magic attack down for Sephiroth, because that is very much needed for this a good weapon right now.
And it's tailored for this event. It's very like if they had put that weapon on with the Aerith weapon, it actually would have encouraged players to pull, and it would have made that EX1 fight, which is deceptively hard, a lot more manageable, even with I want to say an OB1 or OB2 of that Sephiroth weapon. But nope, they just had to go and put it on a separate banner, because they knew people were just going to pull anyways. And like I said, it's a very sleazy move. I hope they don't do this again, especially for their very first crossover event, where crossover events are very special when it comes to gacha games, because you get to access content from another world, and you get to see how these characters interact and stuff. Speaking of characters interacting, aside from the costumes, I thought it was a pretty piss poor event in terms of the story. I'm like, okay.
Story, they kind of locked them into their own world and situation. Beyond the summer event, which kind of felt unique.
Yeah.
It felt kind of repeat storyboard.
Yeah. It was okay, this is it. I kind of wanted to see a little bit more interaction, in the Final Fantasy IX world, where these characters are kind of trying to figure out what's going on. We didn't even get that much. It was just kind of hey, we're in this world.
You don't even see any cameos from the other characters.
No, you don't. and that's why I was just kind of like, what is this event?
Yeah, you get Zack and Tifa kind of still in their own sort of mindset, but they're not acting like Zidane or
No.
Amaranth or any of the other characters. It would be cool if they would had that kind of mindset right now, but they're still,
Yeah.
emo Cloud and happy Tifa.
Yeah, but it was not like that whatsoever. So I don't know. This crossover event too, I think they need to do better for future ones. Maybe put a little bit more effort into it. And also, for a crossover event, really, they just went with the copy and paste of what the beach event and the Halloween event did. For a crossover event, you would expect at least, okay, besides like a grind fest, maybe have like a raid boss or have something special. But they literally just copied and pasted what they do for other events. I mean, if I get that that formula works for like non-crossover events, but for a crossover event where you're featuring another game, it's like I personally would want to see a bit more effort on their end, because it's supposed to be more special, but yeah, this crossover event all in all was kind of disappointing, and I hope they consider to do better in the future if they decide to do another crossover.
I mean, the last con for this event is the fact that these weapons are literally event exclusive. You're not going to see these events until they bring them back in like a year or whatever. So you see them now, and then they're gone. You can't get them on the wish list. You can't put them on anywhere else. If you have them, you have them. If you get them if you get stuck at OB9, they're stuck at OB9. If you get them at a regular 5-star, that's where you're stuck at.
Yep.
So if these are unique as they are, then we're screwed.
Yeah.
And you're screwed.
Yeah. So.
But thankfully, the only one that seems very unique is Sephiroth's new weapon. But we'll find out how impactful that is. Because some of the higher end players and myself are sharing the same opinions that depending on how good the potency is, if it's really high, then we're screwed, because that means that it's going to be super impactful to the game.
Yep.
If it's not, if it's still like low to mid, then we're fine, because that means the current weapons we have are going to make do with it, like Tifa's leather gloves and stuff.
Yep, I agree. We'll just have to find out. But there's other things that, I guess this is more of like personal opinion on your end. You had some things that you wanted to address.
This is just my pet peeves. Thankfully, what you're seeing right now on the co-ops is what I want to see all the time.
Yep.
But I don't get that chance to see it all the time. It's mainly everyone like pulling their raid in co-ops. Instead, every time I go do a manual co-op by myself, I'm seeing people that are way below the recommended power threshold, or expecting a whale to carry them. Even though it's like non-verbal, I can't tell what they're actually thinking. I can tell that if you're going into a Ramu co-op and you're going in 40k, 45,000, 50,000, and the recommended power is 65k, I don't want to be carrying you. I want to just speed through these co-ops. I don't want to be the one pulling everyone's weight.
Right. No, I share a similar sentiment. I mean, I don't mind helping people out and carrying them through some of these harder, some of the harder co-op, the higher end co-ops. But if you're gonna come in with like a 20k power and expect to just be carried and not do anything, like really, like at least learn the fight or put in a little bit of effort. It is a bit irritating when you come across that multiple times, because all it is that person is dead weight, and it's and it could potentially cause you to wipe, so yeah,
that's the unfortunate
I share a similar sentiment.
Yeah, I think this is the unfortunate effect of the game being too grindy.
Yep, it is. It definitely is. I saw a lot of it, and I saw a lot of really low B players asking to be carried for Crash Sephiroth co-op and Crash Iron Giant, and I was just like, no, it's gonna be a waste of my time. It's gonna be a waste of your time, because that's a fight where you need to carry your weight. You can't just be like, oh, I'm just gonna sit back and let the whales carry me, and but
unless someone advertises it, which some people were doing on the Reddit for the Crash Giant, which Crash Battle, which somehow we got 500 people to clear it, and I saw the pages. It was like 30 pages of people clearing it on co-op. So somehow it seems somehow it worked. Some
Yeah.
people were carrying like low-end players through the crash battle, and it worked. So whatever they were doing, it works. I unfortunately was not able to see it because I was extremely busy and got kind of just like burnt out on the fight.
Yeah. But yeah,
Hmm.
all in all, if you expect to be carried, at least carry your weight just a little bit so that
Or
the person.
ask.
Yeah, exactly. Don't just expect to be carried and like put yourself on auto. And if you're gonna be, if you're gonna have low power, at least bring the correct materia. At least do that. So then
Yeah,
you
fight
have.
sigil minimum.
Yeah, so then you offer something instead of just like getting one-shotted and you're like, okay, well, great.
Hmm.
That wasn't very helpful at all. But no, I'm with you on that. I don't mind helping people, but at least put a little bit of effort if you're going to come in at a lower level so that we don't wipe, because we want to be able to clear this and help you clear this. But there
Yeah.
has to be a certain degree of ownership by the person that wants to get carried. Yeah, anyways, I think we're almost on time. Anything else that you
Yep.
wanted to bring up?
Nope, that's pretty much everything I want to talk about.
For sure, for sure. So again, guys, this is not a doom and gloom. This is just a discussion between two good friends that really, really love this game and want the game to
Mhm.
succeed, but are seeing problems that could definitely be improved. We want to know in the comment section below what you guys want to see improved with this game. Let's try to keep it civil. I have seen some comments that are just highly emotional and people just ranting on. That's fine, but I'd rather it be a civil and intelligent discussion because that's more productive. So we'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on what you want to see improved in the game, what you guys feel about the content so far, and everything that you want to see for this game to succeed. Pretty much. Any last thoughts, Borf?
Hope. Beyond that, 40 has smelly pubes, but that's great.
Oh my god. All right. Well, anyways, guys, aside from that snarky comment by Borf, I thank him for being a part of this discussion. And yeah, guys, stay tuned for the next video and stay blessed, everybody. Have a good one.
Take care.